Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is going to be the building, and trust me, there is a lot to do, I thought I would give you guys a quick recap as to the current situation in case you didn't see the previous episode where we built the sort of foundation for this one. So far, lying in front of me, we have 4 smelting units. That's right. I've been calling them subunits, but people in the comments pointed out that subunit not as good as the name as smelting unit, and they house smelters, so why not? I think it's a good point. So there's 16 smelters in each one of these. There's 4 in total, and they're all pointing towards this factory floor here. So we're going to divide up the 1,920 iron ingots, 480 comes out of each one, and kind of divide it up into all these different blocks. Now I'm going to talk about the blocks down on the ground in a minute. We won't spend too long on it because we're just going to be building and you'll understand from there, but I think it's worth talking about the pre-planning of the video and why those blocks are laid out the way they are. So basically, here we have the production document. This factory is going to be targeting 6 heavy modular frames per minute, and then in surplus, we're going to be looking to get 6 modular frames, 6 reinforced iron plates. No screws will be left over, although we'll see about that. I was tempted to have just a very, very small trickle, because you can sometimes use them for building awesome shops, but they're not really used for anything else. Anyway, and then we've got 40 iron plates and 24 iron rods. So on this document, the arrows that are kind of pink, they're going into a dimensional depot. So they're just basically for me to use in the building process. I don't plan on shipping that stuff to any other factory. The only thing that will be used in another factory eventually will be the heavy modular frames. That's it. So I wanted to keep things relatively simple for where we're at in the game, allow us to get through the next few milestones, get through the next space elevator phase, and then once we start getting more power and ramping up, we'll do bigger and bigger factories, of course. Right, so now it's worth saying those were surplus numbers. The volume that we're going to be dealing with is obviously much higher, and this factory is generally planned and spec'd to our current belt speed, which is 480 per minute. So right, let's have a look at the different blocks here. So why have I done blocks? What's with the arrows? How does it all work? Very, very simple. I was working out in between episodes the sort of floor space we're going to need in order to produce everything. So I carved out blocks based on the size of the machines that go into them. So we're going to be using these dynamic blueprints that I built in a previous video, and we talked about them in the previous episode and stuff. I'm not going to go over it now. It's the whole point with this series is to kind of show you once and then move forward. I know some people get slightly annoyed when I edit or skip ahead, but you know, it's got to happen, to be honest, to keep things moving. Otherwise, we'll be here for forever. But anyway, so you can obviously see, like, the length of a block can be determined by the amount of machines that we plan to have in it. A constructor is just simply one foundation, so we can say, like, okay, if we need, like, 6, it's going to be 6 foundations in a row, or we could do 3 on the bottom, 3 on top, or we could do 2 on the bottom, 2 on top, in the middle, and then 2 on the very top. I like to have floors of 3, as you can see by the smelting units. Don't want to go higher than that. Although, with 1.1, sorry, I just hit the microphone. With 1.1, you'll be able to split vertically and merge vertically. So you could go as high as you want, I guess, then. But for now, until we can do that, I just want to use one merger or splitter, and therefore we'll just stay at around the 3-floor mark. I'm also looking forward to the elevators, because then we'll be able to just kind of go up and down the individual machine floors without even needing to... Like, so far we've seen elevators for 1.1 indicating going between floors of buildings. But I love the idea of just going between floors of machines. I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, we'll see how we get on with that when we get our hands on it, which isn't too long now. Okay, anyway, so very briefly, the arrow facing out is where the output's going to go. The arrow facing in is the input. This one has 2 inputs, so it's assemblers. As an example, it's going to get one from the left and one from the right. And thanks to our dynamic blueprints or whatever, we've built machines that are going to be capable of handling something coming in from the left, going out from the right, one coming in from the right, in from the left, and out from the right. You know, we've got every combination here for at least assemblers, constructors, and of course the smelters as well. Didn't do it for manufacturers yet or anything like that. There's a lot more permutations with a manufacturer, so I'll have to think about how we're going to divide that up. But for now, we only need 3 manufacturers, and they're going to go here. So the number is the amount of machines in each block. I didn't actually end up painting it on the other side because we'll work that out when we get to it. But I think that's enough talking. I think, you know, this generally indicates where things need to go. And the idea of painting it all out and labeling it and stuff is so that we can just visually work out where things are going to go. Where's the, you know, is there enough space for this entire factory? People ask, how do you plan these things out, especially as they get bigger? You know, I find that I'm a few foundations short, I'm hitting a wall, or, you know, they build next to a cliff, whatever the case might be. This is the easiest way to do it. You can just, without putting anything down, see except for foundations, see where everything's going to go, and leave yourself a little bit more space than you might otherwise need. So the first block that we're going to tackle is here. 24 constructors all running at 100%. Their output is going to be 360 per minute. This 360 per minute is going to go straight into 36 constructors. They take 10 each, so 360 per minute into 36 constructors to produce 1,440 screws per minute. 1440 divided by 3, as we're building in 3 layers, is going to allow us to have 480 still on each belt. So we're going to build 3 layers of these constructors, so 36 divided by 3, it's going to be 12. So we've blocked out room for 12 constructors in a line. And then we can figure out where they need to go. I think they actually need to run down this track here. I think. I'll have to think about it. Anyway, we'll get to that when we cross that bridge when we come to it. So this is the first goal, right? So let's do it. Let's get our iron rod production going. And hopefully everyone understands the methodology, and maybe it'll help some people if they choose to employ that same methodology as well. Right, so we're ultimately facing away. So the input's going to be coming in from the right. That input is going to be the straight iron ingots coming out of here. They're also going to go this way into a different group, which we'll talk about later. All of these blueprints have been built with the center of a foundation in mind. So we're lining up things with the center. That makes life and building just so much easier. Sorry, this turned around the wrong way. So, you know, I've learned over time that placement of buildings and getting it wrong, so frustrating. So if you just work with a little bit more space than you need, right? This doesn't, we could compress this down, but this way all the blueprints are 4 in length. So they all connect together really nicely. So that's another reason for doing it that way. And then with using the center of the foundations, we can guarantee no matter what thing is coming out of what machine, the center of the foundations are where things can merge and line up very nicely with our belts. All right, let's commit to it. Now, this should be colored if I've done it right. Let's see. Yes. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is actually color code the machines based on the colors we've got here. Now, we'll remove the floors and everything later in terms of their colors. It'll just be the machines, but we'll have these green segments knowingly that it's our iron rods, and orange for the iron plates, and blue for the screws, and so on and so forth. I just chose green for the rods because why not? Now, why is it blue on the way in? Well, that's because they come out of the smelting unit. So I'm also trying to color code the factory. It's going to be largely white with little trim colors to let us know what's moving where on various belts. Because as you can see, we're doing one factory floor where these will all kind of border up against each other in many places. So I think color coding them will just help us visually understand where everything is moving to and from quite quickly. All right, so next thing, let's put our catwalk floor up here. Now, I'm starting to wonder if it might be easier just to build a regular floor up on this temporarily to place our blueprint down, and then we'll replace it with the other blueprint later. Let's just try it. I'll try it with this one. I haven't done this before. I haven't tested it, but let's see. Now I should be able to just place this down again quite easily. So we are facing out this direction. We know that it has to go into the center. Without a hover pack, it can be a little finicky. Now we just go up another 3. 1, 2, 3. Just go across there. And even that would be probably fine. Right. And get this in place again. So, bring it down to there, right? A little over to the right, and good. Right, so a little messy without the hover pack, but that puts all these 3 in position. I'm going to get rid of the foundations now that we're here. They're not needed. And what I'm wondering is, can I put my little floors in now between blueprints? I don't know if that's going to work. If it doesn't, I'll just latch it onto a different foundation. But this is just a little test for me. We'll cut ahead in a second if it doesn't work, basically. All right, so they're gone. Now I've got this floor. Ooh, it looks like it fits. Yeah, I think that's a bit easier because I was finding it difficult to place things on this floor because it's actually hollow in the center. That's just my design of it, but I do want to keep that design. But yeah, it did make it a little trickier. But there we go. That fits in nicely. It's to the same edge as the beam this time, so we're looking good. And boom. That would be one section done. Now, if you want to grab the paint, I could even paint the railing of each specific area, just to make sure we have that same trim effect. Now, as you can see, we still need to move further down on one side, but this is just getting the height correct at this one time. And I might, every time I'm about to do a block, I'll just change the paint in the Blueprint Designer so that when we place it, it'll have everything ready to go. Right, so we have to do another 3 machines here. So, obviously, we need 24 machines, and with the amount of, so 24 divided by 3, it's 8 per row. So we've got 5 here. It's just the way I built the blueprints. You could do loads and loads and loads of blueprints where this says, you know, constructors 5. You could have constructors 4, 3, 2, 1, all with their different directional inputs and outputs, but I feel like it's just easier to do this and then just cut the ones off the side that you don't want. I find that just for ease a little easier, but you know, you can obviously modify these blueprints to do whatever you want with them. Now that other one here in the middle was actually slightly off. So again, want the beams to line up, and then we know we're good. Alright, so we don't need these ones on the end. We'll cut them in a minute, but let's just do the same thing with this. Actually, this does have different sizes. However, the snapping of blueprints can be really annoying. I need it to go like here. It needs to be a 3, but I actually don't have a 3. I've got a 1, a 5, 4, 2, and a 1 for some reason. Alright, you know what? I'm just going to be lazy. We'll do the 5, and I'll just cut off the edges again. At least that way it'll just get done quickly. Alright, I'll do this one here. Okay. So, with all of that in place, this is what we got now. So, I'm just going to chop off that left side. I'll just do it really quickly and do the rest of the little bit of paint, and then we'll move on to the next group. Alright, so there's our block anyway. 8, 16, 24 machines, all making rods, and they're all going to come out here. So, the interesting thing with this is, what we need to do is grab this and rotate these around. Do the same here, and the same here. So, I won't show you each one, we'll just do the one on the bottom. So, getting rid of that, placing this one on the bottom instead, and then reconnecting these. Like so. Now we have our output facing right here. So we can lead it straight into the intake splitters for all of the screw machines. So that's going to be great. And because the way we've layered things out, and it's going to be 3 rows of these, then we don't need to do any merging or division. This bottom row will feed this bottom row. This middle row will feed that middle row, and so on and so forth. Alright, I'm back. I switched the merges around so they're facing the right direction, and we've got our new painted blueprints. Now, we could just latch onto the ones we're looking right at, but because I severed them, we'd have to do the same every time, so they wouldn't line up that nice. It doesn't really matter anyway. We could just line them up on our own little grid here. We're totally good. So, we need 12 machines on the bottom, so 2 groups of 5, and then maybe 2 groups of the solo ones that we have. We're looking good. We're looking good. Alright, we are lined up. That's number 1. Get this one in as well. Like so. And then now we can just switch to this and this. And there we go. 12 constructors in a line. Of course, we need to do that twice over. So I'll do it the old way. I don't even need to do that. We can do this. Have to get rid of that railing. And then this could be a twoozer. So this one. Yeah. Excellent. Now we can get rid of some of the railing then where it's not needed. So some of it is needed. So maybe just here, pressing G using our filter. Just getting rid of the one we don't want. And then just popping this back in. And we'll do cosmetics and stuff later, but yep, keeping it nice and clean. Alright, so next group of machines. Let's go. So we have to turn off blueprint mode, having them face towards me for this, and just making sure we line these up correctly. So it should be about there, I think, if we have a look at the center point of our foundations. Yes. Alright, cool. There's another one. And another 10. Or, yeah, this will be another 10. Always facing the wrong way, man. Alright, there we go. And then just the final 2 on the end. So we can just look at that blueprint. It should just work, right? Have I done this one wrong? Oh, no, it's all good. I thought the input was going the wrong way. Alright, nice. Second layer. We are flying ahead. It feels... it's taken a while to plan. I don't know if it would have been just faster to build it straight up, but... having the plan ready and then just placing these down does feel quite good, I must admit. Alright, so there we go. 36 additional constructors now built and hooked up, all doing screws. Plus the 24 original constructors doing iron rods. So I've color-coded these, remember? So green is for iron rods, so this would be a green line. It's still coming from the iron rod section. So we keep that white belt but with the green trim on it. Then they become blue on the blue line of machines and go from the blue section to some other section. So that's basically the kind of coloring convention I'm using, and all the colors are available in my blueprint folder, right? So whatdarrenplays.com/satisfactory. There's a document in that folder that gives you the hex values of all the colors I use and where they first appeared. Although I often use colors multiple times over. For instance, that blue is the same blue I used for pipes in the coal factory. So it's the kind of piping water color. Alright, so there we go. So we have to connect these together now. That's why I just moved the sign. So basically, is this aiming out the right way? This one is, but this isn't receiving yet the right way. So we'll build this in its place. It's coming in from that direction instead. Let's get rid of these. Place that back down. And that. And connect this over. So there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times 15. We're going to have a smooth belt of 120 per minute coming out of here. Alright, so now they have a 480 belt on their output each. And they've all rotated the mergers to face this straight out this direction, because we're going to have a little bit of traffic coming out this side, most likely from here. So we can move on to the next group now. So that is 60 constructors all done, all hooked up, ready to go. We now have just a pitiful 8 additional constructors, so we're going to do 4 and then 4 on top. So I'm going to grab our in from the left, in out to the left again. And we'll aim it this way, but we're going to be chopping off one, I guess. So it's going to receive from here. So the iron ingots that come out of this one will go into here. Nice. Grab ourselves a catwalk floor and just position it on top. I actually have a 4x4, so let's go with that instead. We need to be nudged across those. There we go. Good. And then just another 5, I guess, but gonna be 4 once we chop off the edges. Just place somewhere over here for now. Right, there we go. Now, hopefully sizing and everything is looking okay. Yeah, looks fine. We could cut some of the railing here. I guess it's not needed anymore either. So that's all the iron rods done for over here. That's all the screws. So we still need to start. So that's basically the smelting unit number 4, fully accounted for. All the iron ingots that come out of here are now being made into something. Just need to bring that something over this direction. We still got more constructors to place. Once all the constructors are down, we'll think about the assemblers. So next up is smelting unit number 1. So this is going to be a hybrid unit. So let's see what we need. Right, so these final 12 machines, I was just looking at the area and I was like, there's something not right here. And it was that this arrow was actually here. So I was saying initially like, oh, it's going to be fed in from this direction. That's not true. It's going to be fed from here. That's part of the reason why there is a gap here and why there's no gap here. There would have been no area to feed it in from. At least not directly, unless you brought it along this main belt track, but that would make things very complicated. So it's here now instead. I don't know why I focused on that. I just thought I would mention it because it just took my attention away for a few minutes anyway. So we're now in from the right and going out the right, that right direction out to the left. Cool. So this one will be the one. And that should be it. Now there's only 4 machines. We're going to cut off the one on the end. We'll just grab this and place it up on top. In fact, we can use the 4x4. Alright, there we go. So we have our orange iron plate machines on top, and then 2 rows of iron rod machines. So 8 of those, and then 4 of the other constructors. So that should be that group now done. 4 and 8. Alright, so what's next? Over here, then we've got constructors times 10. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so just 2 rows of this, and we're just going to be making concrete. So pretty straightforward. They're going to be receiving their limestone along this line here and then in. So presumably in right and out right. Alright, so there we have it. 10 additional constructors now, and I just gave them the standard yellow color I do in a lot of my factories. So obviously the machines are white with a little yellow trim to them. Concrete is a sort of off-white color typically that I would normally give it, so you can't really see that against the white, so I've just gone with a bolder sort of yellow color. Now, the difference with these machines is that their input is going to be coming in this direction, and not on the other side. There's going to be other mergers and things on this side, so it's a little bit in the way. So we've already got the constructor and its input splitter facing the right direction. What we have to do is still build a lift, right? So we need a lift of some sort. So I'm just going to place this down temporarily, pop in a floor hole, get that to go in line here. Get rid of this. Right, so this will be a Mark III lift now, aiming out. And then a Mark III here. So we're just splitting the 450 limestone between both groups of 5 machines. So they're evenly split, but then evenly manifolded down the line. So the 450 is going to be coming in there to begin with. Alright, so we're almost done. There's still the iron plates and then the steel pipe machines to do. So remember, we've already used 240 of the iron ingots coming out of here. So that leaves us with 240 traveling along. And that's going to go into steel pipe. So the steel pipe is needed to go into encased industrial beams. You can use steel beam or steel pipe. We're using the steel pipe recipe. So obviously I've got the concrete right there on the left. Now we'll have the pipe on the right. They'll feed in from 2 different directions into 8 constructors. We'll talk about that in a second as we get to the assembler layer. But next up is the division here. This is a little tricky. So we're using the iron pipe recipe. So let's just type in steel pipe. We'll quickly have a look at it. So it's 100 iron ingots per minute for 25 steel pipe out. It's a pretty rough ratio of iron to steel pipe, but you don't need coal or anything like that. You don't need steel refinement, so it cuts out a lot of the logistics. But it does mean we're draining subunit 2 or smelting unit 2 quite quickly, right? So all 480 ingots that come out of there will only go into 4.8 machines. Forget what this says about the 90%. That's going to change now anyway. That was originally something else I was thinking. So we're going to have 4.8 machines taking all of the iron ingots here, and then 2.4 machines taking all of the iron ingots remaining out of this one. Yeah, I got confused again for a sec, but yeah, I think that works. So 2.4 on the bottom, 4.8 continuing down to this one. The only thing that makes this a bit awkward, maybe a bit interesting, I guess, is that it means that the top output is not the same as the bottom output. So we'll just have to make sure we're aware of that when we start feeding it into this group of machines. There's 8 constructors here. 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. So the idea was to just bring it straight across. See, there's no gap. It was supposed to just go, yeah, bottom row in, top row in. A little trickier in this case. But, oh yeah, what we could do is the top row has more, so it could just roll over this way and then come and feed down and in from the bottom if there's a problem. So actually, yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Alright. And then you can meet in the middle, sort of. Right, just one more group of constructors left to go, so this is all completed now. Now we have to head over to the other side. So this is assemblers, that's reinforced iron plates, that's encased industrial beams, that's modular frames, that is the manufacturers. This will be a group of constructors, I think 16, if I'm not mistaken. 16 constructors. And is there a reason why I did it this way? Let's see, is 16 divisible by 3? Not really. Unless we do want to underclock things. Now, this needs 12. So a lot of the a lot of the iron plates have to go in here. I'm just wondering if there's going to be 3 floors here. I've left myself 5. So that's 4, 8, 12. There is going to be 3 floors here. So it just makes the most sense to use 3 floors here. So this does not need to be nearly as wide as I've made it out to be. So we'll have to do some specific clocking. So 16 divided by 3, it'll be 5. So 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can cut off the last 2. Alright, so there we have it. The final constructors are in place. Iron plates coming out of SU3. So that basically means that all of the smelting units now have their ingots accounted for. So I think it's something like 110 constructors in total. So we've placed a lot pretty quickly. You know, it's the quickest I've ever placed this many. But we're not done yet. Obviously, they have to now link to their various other groups. But the next thing I would like to do is just put down the 3 remaining groups of assemblers, which shouldn't be too bad. They're placed in a similar fashion, and there's less of them. And then there's just the 3 final manufacturers. Then it's a matter of just hooking them all up. Alright, so for the reinforced iron plates, we're obviously feeding in from 2 different sides. So we need the right-left input, and the output is going to be to the right. Now, unlike the constructors, these don't line up with the center of any foundation. They just line up overall with a block of 5, like that. But they do line up in the center here. So that should give them inputs and outputs that line up with each other. Nice. Alright, so that's just going to be 1. So going with a kind of a purple color for the reinforced iron plates. No particular reason. Just because, it's going to use screws, so I thought maybe an offshoot of blue makes some sense anyway. So the blue line on top, so the screws will be coming in from the top. And then the regular iron plates along the bottom. Now, these are just going to have to keep stacking on top of each other. So we'll get our 5x4 again, blueprint mode. Just make sure that we are lined up correctly, which we are. Alright, so we're starting to see some real progress now because the outputs of these constructors are lining up with the inputs of the assemblers. So it's going to make, obviously, connecting things very, very easy. And the walkways and everything are going to connect, so we can build walkways that allow us to get up and down to the various different heights and connect all the different blocks together. One thing that's a little annoying is that the bars are slightly misaligned. Now, they're actually aligned if the machines were to face the same direction, but they're not facing the same direction, so they're not center aligned to the blueprint. It's kind of like, oh, I could go back and redo it, but I don't know if it's worth it. Is it? Should the bars align and connect over across each other? Maybe. Alright, so for placing the modular frames, this one's kind of interesting because there's 18 machines. We're looking to get 36 per minute out in total. 18 machines means a blueprint of 4, and then we can either do another blueprint of 4 and chop some off, or just place a blueprint of 2. So we're going LLL for this one. So 2 left inputs and a left directional output. So let's just line this up with the edge here. I think that's actually good to go. Alright, looking good. And I've gone with a... I don't know what this color was. It actually probably would have been nice, but it's more of a softish lavender. I actually called it blue faded navy. But looking at it now, lavender would probably be perfect. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Alright, there we go. 18 assemblers stacked nice and high. Alright, I think there's just one more set of assemblers to go, and it's going to be a little tight, depending how we want to do it. I could always nudge this over a little further if we need to, actually. You can fit these within... I didn't show them in the previous episode, but I actually moved some of the ones that are inside the smelting units. I think I was showing like they were connecting over the line, but if you just pop it here, it'll still connect into where it needs to go, but you just won't see that kind of hose pipe thing. So you can always do that if you know where you're placing it first. Anyway, right, so just this one left. So this is encased industrial beams. Alright, so encased industrial beams are taking steel pipe, which are going to be coming in from over here. So this is the input line. So it looks like we have a right and left input line, and we're building up to 8. So just stacking 2 groups of assemblers on top of each other. And the output is going to go out the right. So an LRR. Right, so this one, if you remember, is going to be a bit complicated because the steel pipe that rolls out of here, this is like the only kind of group that's has irregular amounts. They have different clock speeds. Rather simply, we do just ultimately have to do this, and then this will go along here and then roll up into the top layer. So we'll have to reverse some of these ones. Alright, so math was hard for me, but I've worked it out now. So these assemblers actually needed to be underclocked. So they're running at 93.75%, which basically means that they're putting at 3.75. It means they're taking in 22.5. So that's a good number. 22.5 times 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 90, right? So our top row here is making 100. So we're left over with 10 that's going to roll down. The bottom row here is making 80. Yes, I think I said 70 before. It's actually 80, so when combined with that additional 10, that's 90, and therefore the numbers will work out. So it means that we actually need to get rid of this splitter and put the merger facing in. I had that wrong. I thought it was this one. This can remain as a splitter, so we'll just pop that back where it was. I was getting really worried there, because looking at my numbers, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But it all makes sense now. Right, and then we can get rid of this and just redraw it. Cool, and I think I need to do that in here. Oh man, that was a journey. But yeah, we should be all good now. So that's the only awkward bit with this. We have to figure out doing the concrete as well, but we'll leave that for now. I just wanted to do that because it was one of the more exceptional things that needed to be done. Next up will be the manufacturers. So I'm going to build these manually. Should be easy enough. Or maybe I'll make just one in a manufacturer with the inputs I need just for now, so that I don't have to do the inputs several times over. So I'll do that quickly. Right, so let's go with there. That's 1, 2, and 3. So that should have left this one with one gap here. So we don't need this one. We'll color this, get rid of that color. So it gives us a bit more room to do whatever we need to do with the height just to get it to go in correctly on this side of things. Anything else? So I've gone with a gray color for this one, just as a final product. It's elite tier. So I feel like the kind of black and white or the dark gray anyway looks pretty good for that. Happy enough. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So just to get this lined up correctly, I'm just going to nudge that over here. So that's spilling over by 1 now. So I'll just get rid of this. This and this. Alright, so it's now starting in the middle. That should be on the very edge of this foundation. Just go across the full 400 or 40 meters. And this can continue to the line here. So 16. Great. Alright, cool. So now that's just a little wider than it was initially. And we... Oh, yeah, we don't need a walkway on top of this. What am I saying? Alright, cool. Great. Looks good. And these should be set now to do heavy modular frames. So we're aiming for 6 per minute. A huge 6 per minute. So that's going to be 30 modular frames in, 120 steel pipe, 30 encased industrial beams, and whatever 240 times 3 is. 720 screws per minute. So it's a lot. A lot of stuff needs to happen for us to get this. I'll paint it when I realize and understand how much is reached here. And then we'll do the belts as well. So that's manufacturing kind of done. I mean, the machines are placed. The next thing will be exports. So exports means hooking this up to the truck stations that are leaving here. It also means imports. It should really just say truck stations. So this truck station is going to be doing steel pipe. If you remember, we have a steel factory. So we do make some steel pipe on site thanks to SU number 4. But we also have a road coming from the steel factory. So somewhere... where we build that road, I don't know. Well, we might widen out the road that's in front of the motor factory here. Use our new medium road and go straight down the line here. That could look pretty good, actually, I think. I showed off these blueprints in the previous episode, the medium roads. So, medium road segment 3x5. It's a 2-meter foundation, so just aligning it to there should be totally good. Alright. Yeah, we're going to be right on the edge, but that's okay. This is just going to go straight. I don't want any dips or hills or anything. We'll just leave it totally straight, raised, and we'll dip before we get to the factory, I guess. Alright, so blueprint mode, and I'm going to keep the direction facing the same. That's just because the road barriers actually have a direction. You know, they're slanted off, from my perspective, to the right. So we want to keep that. If you kept flip-flopping it back and forth, they wouldn't look as good. They'd zigzag a bit. Alright, so this is obviously going to be super easy. We'll just build this all the way out here. And we probably can't actually dip this until we get pretty close to that dune. So somewhere around here is where it's going to have to dip before it can connect in here. Yeah, that's such an awkward one, isn't it? The dip might even have to begin like somewhere here. But we'll figure that out in a bit. And that'll just have to connect in over there ultimately. Yeah. Looks good though. Nice solid straight road, and then we need to build supports underneath it. It's actually been so long since I built this, I can't even really remember what the supports looked like. Let's see. Middle road support top. Oh yeah. Yeah, they look good. Sure, we'll just do that. We'll go with the middle, and bottom. Nice. Alright, and so these aren't on top of each other. It's like maybe every second blueprint would look decent. So we go middle, bottom. Cool, and I'll just keep doing this all the way down. Alright, there we go. Looking decent. Alright, so I'm just going to work on lining that up. This could be a bit finicky, you know, because there's no vertical nudging yet. We're so close to it. But I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned ways. Alright, so having just deleted all the different components that were necessary to get the road into the position, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, there is this little 1-meter ease ramp. That's a little inconsistent, but generally speaking, it looks okay. You know, I think it's alright. Now, the tractors that are currently on this route, they used to turn here, so they're going to be going mostly along the center line of this foundation. Now, for now, I think it's totally fine. I don't need to redo the routes anytime soon. Maybe it's better to get them out of the way, though, and just redrive the ones that need to come in here. Alright, well, anyways, so we're going to cut here. These guys are going to be turning left. Speaking of one-way roads, we should have a segment Not sure if it's in here. A T-junction, but just two. Yeah, so just two foundations, because we're going to be branching into a one. A single lane, that is. So should have a single lane in here. So medium road one way. There we are. It just works. And that's 5 foundations. Now we need, by the looks of things, 3. Ooh, actually, I just saw something wrong with this. This is misaligned. Let me just put one there for a second. Just get rid of this one. Just grab this one, place it back down. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. So I guess it's misaligned, so it just needs to be nudged. And therefore, so does this and this. Alright, so almost flawless, but not quite. So back to the one-way version. I guess if we do 2 of these segments, it might just be better. Cool. Alright, that can go. You did your job. And you did it gracefully. Now, this is again misaligned, so we just nudge that back over. I don't know why that is, actually. And it looks like I'm short on concrete. Well, that's enough for now, right? We have our way in. Actually, I guess I need the concrete if we want to do the proper driving, but we can start to put down the truck station. So while we wait for that stuff to build up in the background, truck station can go here. So truck station basically takes up 2 foundations, so just go like this. I bring the borders all the way to the edge. Sometimes actually you can kind of get away with going over it. No, we'll leave it there. Now it does spill over by one tiny little bit, but the inputs are aligned. Yeah, so this is okay then. Spilling over on the right is okay, because the inputs remain aligned with foundation meters, so that's good. So there's one. We'll do another one just somewhere here. Same situation, so align them so that this bit spills over. And we'll just make sure that this is in the center line, that's in the center line, so that's good. And same with this one then. So one of these is going to have to be fuel. And it'll be liquid biofuel. So I mean to have a look at how much we've made. I wonder if I've gotten through all the alien protein by now. I'd say by now I have. A decent amount of time has passed. Alright, well there's the 3 stations. So the idea is that the heavy modular frames are going to roll straight into there. Now there's probably... Oh, yeah, sorry, intake. Maybe we'll do this. About there maybe. Just go like that. That might be better. Right, so before we do the iron rods coming out of here, so this is the smaller group of iron rods that needs to ultimately merge with that group of iron rods and then go into these groups of machines here. So it's nice that it's color coordinated, you know, it's very easy to know where things have to go. But I think we'll leave it just for a moment because I have to do the screws. And the screws are kind of awkward because it's 480 per minute on each line. So 1, 2, and 3. Each doing 480 per minute, but we need 720 to go into that block and 720 to go all the way down into the manufacturers in the distance. So there's 3 inputs here, and in order to get 720, very simply, we can do 480, right, divided by 2 is 240. 240 times 3 is 720. So my thought is that if we just grab a splitter, aim it out this direction, just bring it up to 3, get the Mark IV belt to lift up, and then we just get a Mark III. So that should send 240 in that direction. The other 240 will break out here and send to the right. So let's just imagine we've got some sort of pole. We'll just bring this all the way up for now. So you're instead just going to go right here. Okay, so that's heading towards the purple arrows towards the heavy modular frames. So I'm just going to do this for each one now. So basically if we just keep stacking these. The stacked belts are now coming all the way around from the original screw machines. So I just nudged it up by 1, and it's just a simple belt track, 5 conveyor poles that are stacked on top of each other, going all the way down into the manufacturers. And now I've just basically broken out the final input of each manufacturer to be one raised over the other. So 1 for each belt. So basically we need to make sure that we keep all the other belts below those ones as they roll into these manufacturers, which should be fine. We also need to color them a bit better. Alright, so that is the screws done. Now we need to get these guys out. So this is the complicated part, I guess. So their outputs are facing this direction. Yeah. Alright, so we'll just get a merger somewhere here along the bottom. And you can get a Mark III belt that runs up to here, I guess. Something like that. That goes straight in. Could take the color from this and apply it to these. Alright. You go straight in. Right, so now they've been merged up. Just want to make sure, I mean, it's 1530, so it's 60, it's 120 per minute. So you only need a Mark II belt, really. I'll leave it as Mark III, though. I'll go crazy. Mark III. And... yeah, so this is actually interesting. So if it has to go 120, I'm wondering if we need to merge these at all, if we could just work it out ourselves. 12 per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 times 6 is 72. So it's not really a nice number. I'd rather than just merge these up together somewhere like here. So you're going to be merging with another 120, so that'll become, excuse me, a Mark III. That could just go in there, and then these are just going to get broken up to each row. Alright, there we go. So, rods go in, they both merge here, they go across, and then they get kind of split up between the three groups. So that should take care of that. Now, the only thing I just realized is that this belt here is going to need a smart splitter to carry away any overflow. So we'll bring this up here. So basically, all the rods that were made in the background there, they're all going into screws. The other two units of rods that are coming here, they're actually, we're oversupplying by 24 per minute. So the additional 24 per minute is going to be coming out of here. And I think I'd said that we're going to aim for running down this track. So let's just try do that. So we'll give this its first belt here. 1, 2. Yes. So overflow, please, out the left. So we'll handle the overflow at the very end, but I'll just leave this here. I'll maybe just for my own sanity, just in case I get distracted, just place a little sign down. Alright, so there we go. All of the iron rods and all of the screws now have their destinations set and hooked up. So the next thing, I guess, just working from the bottom, would still be to do the iron plates. So there's 40 left over in this, in terms of overflow. So I'll have to figure that one out as well. So we've got some that are placed up here, just 4 machines. So 2 of these are technically just going to be maybe the overflow, and the rest all need to go down into the reinforced iron plates here. Alright, so what I've done is I've just merged these 4 onto one belt that goes straight down, and then that is just slightly raised above the iron rods. So this can now just roll across here. And because there's an elevator here, we can turn. Maybe there. Maybe get ready to go into a smart splitter here. Yeah, so this would be a smart splitter. Now, did I say any on that one? Yeah, so this one is going to be anything, and then on the right, overflow. And the overflow, again, is just 40 per minute, so send that there, and send this down as well. So just like this, I'll just write underneath, just so I know what, I mean, it's easy enough to know which one is doing what, but just in case. This should be 40 per minute overflow, and it should be iron plates. Great. Alright, so, but normally it'll just continue on, and it'll have to be divided between 3 and there. Right, so make that Mark III just for safety, and straight belt on into the one on the end. So we're only sending in 13 per minute at each one of these, really, but should be alright. Using Mark III, it'll just look better that way. All the belts look the same then, at least here. Okay, so that's reinforced iron plates now set up. Iron plates are now completely handled where we make them in both categories. It was super easy to do on that side. They haven't been fed yet, so we'll have to probably do that now so we can make sure that reinforced iron plates, for instance, are all buttoned up. So we said that they were going to be coming in from over here into this group. Alright, cool. That worked. Totally easy. Oh man, alright. So, again, we just do our splitting. So Mark III can go down. Now, I just want to make sure. This is using... yeah, this uses all 480. Okay, wow. Okay, just making sure. Alright. And then Mark III out of its mind, going into each one. Now that is a Mark III, cool. Just want to take that color, apply it to these guys as well. Nice, okay, that was super quick and easy. So now all we need to do is grab this belt and say, in you go. And just do that for every single row. Obviously, maybe change that and that to just regular catwalk. Alright, same with this one. Okay, so that's the reinforced iron plates now hooked up there, along with their rods, and then we're just going to continue through. So yeah, some sort of merger all the way down at the bottom really would probably be best. The idea would be, though, that these would need to be smart splitters each, so we are doubling up on smart splitters a little bit, I guess, but no big deal. We can afford it. So now the overflow goes straight out the center and any on the right, and each one's going to be set the same. So when these lines individually fill, the overflow then allows the reinforced iron plates to make it out and reach our merger over here. Alright, so we've done 3 of the overflows. There's only 1 more to go, and the rest of the machines just hook into the manufacturers. Alright, they are all merged together, and now this would be an overflow splitter. So, smart splitter, overflow out the left, anything out the right. And you're gonna go into, just straight into the manufacturer here. Alright, there we go, easy peasy. So, if we grab this color, I can then just paint those splitters knowing that, like, okay, they've been done, right? That's going to be modular frames going in. And in total, it's 54 modular frames per minute. So in total, we're making 60, so the Mark 1 belts should be totally fine, and then the overflow will continue out this way. Alright, so the next thing is taking the inputs out of SU1. So bring this up to 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Bring that down. So this one's a bit different because it has to split earlier than any of the other ones. So we split it here. I guess just taking one of these splitters. And taking one of these belts, mark forward out of our minds. This can go straight across to there. And straight in. Right, so we need 240 to go into all of these machines. Now, I mean, the super easy way would be doing it right. Oh no, it wouldn't be actually. Yeah, we'll just bring it around to the left then, and then do our 3-lane splitter thing. So bring it down to the left. We'll start at that height, so nothing has to really change there at least. So Mark III, in you go. And then just working from the bottom to 3 like so, we can avoid clipping too much. And then on this side, this one's going to go straight up. Alright, so that's in, and that's in. So there we go. So that's 240 per minute that will be rolling into all of these. Alright, and this comes down to the very bottom, and then we get a Mark III belt to straight belt around into it. And that is a Mark III, is it? Yes. Okay, cool. Get rid of that. So basically that is the other 240 now traveling along down here, and it's going into the bottom row of the steel pipe, because the other steel pipe is coming from here. And that just simply plugs into here. Alright, so that should be all 480 ingots rolling into here. So using 400, and then the 80 I think just goes downstairs, right? That's what we did earlier. Yeah. I'll just check that machine to be sure. 80 per minute. Awesome. Alright, cool. The system works so far. So just get rid of this, get rid of these. And we'll make that look a little bit better later on. Alright, so I noticed that the video is way longer than it really should be. So basically, I've hooked up the limestone node in the distance to a horrible looking belt coming across the dunes just to feed in and connect into the encased industrial beams. Power should be hooked up to all of the blocks and the mining subunits. So we have the just various power switches gated into each one, so pretty straightforward. I'm thinking in the next video we can maybe do the final cosmetics for this, maybe the kind of power control room or overflow room, as well as doing the roads that need to hook up to the biofuel. So a few little odds and ends that kind of just need to be tidied up to make this place kind of complete and fully functional. But for now, we could definitely turn it on, get the ball rolling, and see if everything works as it should. So the way I'm going to do this is we're just going to power on one subunit at a time. Sorry, I was just opening my Milanote document so I could see how this is going to work, so that way I can guide you through it as we power things on. So subunit 4 here, just very quickly, people had suggested, you know, to put the doorways in at the base of these things and lead in. It's not as easy as you might think in all of them. This one, it works pretty well actually, but often, even though they're quite raised, there are still like big dunes and stuff just randomly underneath. So it might look like a big wall of concrete, but not too far in there, there's actually nowhere you can build. So it's not like I could just easily build some staircases that lead up here. So I'll have to figure it out where I can. I think a little doorway like that is totally fine, you know? We don't really need to come in here. These are more like maintenance doors, just to make sure that the subunits are working correctly. This is the main facility. And certainly I want to do walkways and things that lead up and over it. So let's just start powering these on one by one. Remember, each subunit is going to be basically doing 480 ingots per minute. There could be issues with these. I haven't turned it on yet, so we'll see if I've done the right belt speeds, if everything's been hooked up to power correctly. We'll do subunit 3 next. I've also just driven over a bunch of steel pipe for the truck station manually. I haven't actually solidified that route yet. Ah, there we go. Got it to work. Sometimes pressing F just doesn't work manually. I don't know why. Hopefully that'll be fixed in the next update. It's a known issue. Alright, so unloading nicely. So there should be 9,600 in there. So 9,600 divided by 120 intake per minute. It'll last us 80 minutes before I'd have to do another run. So this place will certainly be able to get up to full power. Alright, let's turn on our actual steel pipe constructors. So that'll be 480 iron ingots per minute, making into 4.8 of those constructors. And the final one then is just down here. Alright. We are operational across the board. Oh, I forgot to turn on the limestone miner as well, actually. So we should see 450, I think, limestone coming in per minute. And our first machines have started. The process begins. Alright, well, so, whoops. It's going to take a little while to get it to 480 iron ingots per minute, but we can take a look at the belt as it is now and see, is this working correctly? Seems okay so far, but we'll just check the miner down here to make sure it's pumping out 480 ore per minute, not stopping or anything. Oh, you know what? Doesn't have its things in. There we go. That was good to catch that one. The other ones actually just went around and did that. I must have just forgot this one. I'm confident the others all have it. So 480 per minute. No problem there. And it should start rolling out with ingots a little bit quicker now. Alright, if we take a look at our heavy modular frame machines, they're getting their steel pipe obviously from the trucks. The first bits of encased industrial beam are rolling in. The screws are filling up already nicely. So we'll be waiting on the modular frames. So that's going to be coming from this section here. And some of them are producing already. So that's good. So that means they have their reinforced iron plates, they have their rods. So yeah, looks like everything's working. Look at this. This is great. I can't wait to see these. These are all going to be mostly full. They'll have some gaps, right? It's 240 per minute. But it'll be a 270 belt, so we're getting there. Just going to take a little bit of time. I want to see a bird's eye view. This is what we got. Little circuit board of different machines all doing their things in their various blocks, and then little connection points. I love looking at it from this perspective. And then, of course, the the limestone node that hasn't quite been completed yet. And our road network, which needs to hook into the liquid biofuel factory at some point in the future. But pretty happy with this. The little subunit buildings all connecting into this like main stage here. It looks quite cool. So one of the markers of efficiency will be checking our manufacturers, and the one with the lowest efficiency will be what I'll say the factory is running at. So that one said 26% before. So yeah, currently the factory is running at 26% throughput, 26% efficiency. So I'm going to leave this running for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes. Then I'll come back and see how we're doing, and then we'll wrap it up. So I thought I would just give you a quick cinematic recap here at the end, a bit of a bird's eye view, me not running around, starting with where we built the build from, the iron rods. So, of course, we have a total of 40 constructors for iron rods, split across two like little groups. They move into the 36 constructors doing screws, 1440 screws per minute. broken into 3 lines, 240 per minute each, going into our reinforced iron plates. They're meeting up with the iron plates that come from one of the other smelting units. It looks like they're backed up, but they're actually not. I don't really know why it looks that way, because the 480 iron ingots are flowing perfectly. Machines are running at 100% now. I've given them some time. Of course, modular frames here in the middle, taking in some of those reinforced iron plates. Then we've got the concrete and the encased industrial beams. And we have one of the other smelting units dedicated to the steel pipe, as well as the truck station for steel pipe going right into those manufacturers. You can see all the belts are nice and flush, and we're gladly, happy to say, up to 6 per minute, so it all works. Now the save file will be out for people to check it out. I'm debating whether or not to move over to 1.1 for this series. I was playing it on stream. It's got some bugs, some kinks I think they need to work out, so maybe it would be nice to use the cosmetics, so I'll think about it. If you'd like to see that, let me know. That's going to be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.